The United States of America is still the United States of America, a military power which you cannot ignore. And when you go to their home and you appear to be fighting their president will fight back. And there is a meltdown. And that meltdown sees President Zelensky leaving immediately to London. So when I look at my crystal ball, what do I see? I see a Europe that is going to recognize that in the short to medium term, you cannot toy around with the United States of America. Remember, the United States of America has already said, and the director of the CIA has said, that they are no longer going to share intelligence on Ukraine with NATO and with the United Kingdom. And that will create a black hole.
This is a small extract of one of the most raw and unapologetic speeches you will ever hear from a wise African called Professor PLO Lumumba. Listen carefully to everything he is talking about because the amount of wisdom in it is mind-blowing.
Trump, even before he is sworn in as the President of the United States of America, says, when I become the president upon being sworn in, the war will be concluded. So that is the new thing happening in the scenario, which also energizes Russia. President Putin says, yes, we like what we are hearing. We are prepared to ensure that we have peace, but peace on whose terms? And you remember that there have been quite a number of attempts at mediating or midwifing a peace process. I remember from the African continent, there is the attempt by President Cyril Ramaphosa, which is an attempt to mediate that peace. I know that there is an attempt from Indonesia by President Subianto Prabowo. There is also an attempt from Saudi Arabia. But the real attempt is with Donald Trump. And when on the 28th day of February, the year 2025, President Zelensky is invited in the Oval Office, he comes to the Oval Office a lion, a champion. He's been lionized by Europe. And he is going to the United States of America, and there are commentators who say this or that about how President Trump behaved, how President Zelensky behaved, but I think he misread the situation. The United States of America is still the United States of America, a military power which you cannot ignore. And when you go to their home and you appear to be fighting their president will fight back. And there is a meltdown. And that meltdown sees President Zelensky leaving immediately to London. The European powers now know, because President Trump has said, you've got to pay your bills. We are not going to pay your bills in NATO. He's telling them we must have peace. And I remember during that meltdown, President Trump telling Zelensky, you are toying with a third world war. You are toying with third world war. Thrice, he tells him. And I think when Zelensky goes to London, the urgent meeting of the European powers, he is torn down. Of course, Keir Starmer, the Prime Minister of the United Kingdom, still wants to appear as if the United Kingdom is that kingdom which was a colonizer, and says, we are prepared to have our planes in the air and our boots on the ground, but we embrace peace. In the intervening period before that, we must never forget that the United States of America have also initiated something, and we have seen Foreign Minister Lavrov has already met the Russians in Jeddah in Saudi Arabia. And a process is going on, and the Europeans are saying, how can you discuss Ukraine without Ukraine? But the beauty of it now is that immediately after the London meeting, there is reflection. And that reflection is what sees the writing of the letter by Zelensky, which is then read by President Trump when he's addressing the joint houses of Congress. And he says, I'm happy now. Zelensky also wants peace. So we are speaking at a time when peace is the mantra, everybody wants peace. But what are the terms of the peace? This is what I think the world is now grappling with. Are we going to have that peace at a time when the one side, that is Ukraine, is saying we've got to go back to the borders prior to 2014, which means Russia returns, so to speak, Crimea to Ukraine, which means Donetsk and Luhansk and the other territories must return to Ukraine. I hear some say, Mark Rubio and others saying, that may not happen. You've got to consider making some territorial concessions. So we are speaking at a time when the terms of the peace have not been settled. The Europeans under Keir Starmer have said, we are working out on the terms of that peace. And he is putting together what he calls a coalition of the willing. And in that coalition of the willing, we are going to send it to the United States of America and see what they say. But remember that even within the European Union, there are voices that are saying we are not going to cast our vote with the rest of Europe. Hungary is speaking that, so that there is no harmony. And I think that is why Keir Starmer says it is a coalition of the willing. And the two loud voices are France and the United Kingdom. Of course, Germany is in a transition. Olaf has just lost the election and they are putting together a government, and that government is not stable. There is not much they can say, safe to say we are going to increase our defense spending. So the key leaders from Europe are France and the United Kingdom. The world is now waiting. What are the terms of the peace that they are presenting to the United States of America? And the next meeting that is going to take place, are we going to have initially a face-to-face meeting between the foreign minister of Russia and the foreign minister of Ukraine? Who is going to represent European Union or Europe or NATO? Is it going to be from the United Kingdom and France? And who are going to underwrite this? Is it the Americans? Will it be Mark Rubio? And once that has happened, will we have a face-to-face meeting between President Zelensky and President Putin? Will they do it in the presence of President Trump? And if they do it, are they going to shake hands? Is it going to be a staged process where you have stage one? Stage one, which means that we simply have a ceasefire and then we deal with the medium-term issues, that issues relating to territory. The jury is still out, but the beauty of the current situation is that there is appetite for peace. So when I look at my crystal ball, what do I see? I see a Europe that is going to recognize that in the short to medium term, you cannot toy around with the United States of America. Remember, the United States of America has already said, and the director of the CIA has said, that they are no longer going to share intelligence on Ukraine with NATO and with the United Kingdom. And that will create a black hole, because American intelligence gathering is one of the best in the world. And I believe that the Ukrainians relied upon it very heavily. And remember that the United States of America has indicated that we are not going to finance NATO. So every effort is going to be made by the Europeans to ensure that the Americans are on board. And that is the reason why I say whatever we do, we shall pass it by the United States of America. And I think President Trump kind of likes that. And once that has happened, one hopes that we'll have a major peace conference. The Saudis have offered themselves as the place where this will be done. So I believe there could be a Saudi process when I look at the crystal ball. And I believe that in the next 2 or so months, we'll have something that is concrete, which people can put their teeth in. And one hopes that that will stabilize that region. But geopolitically and geostrategically, the Russians are not going to make certain concessions, and the Ukrainians are going to insist that those concessions be made. So it will be a very difficult peace process. But who said that that which is difficult cannot be resolved?
If you enjoyed this video, hit that like button and subscribe for more videos like this.